Good morning. Today we are going to deal with Rutherford atomic model. In this session, we will derive the scattering formula and will analyze whether this formula is valid with the help of the experiment done. So Rutherford scattering is a phenomenon in physics that was explained by Ernest Rutherford in 1911, which led to the development of the Rutherford model of the atom. And this Rutherford model was eventually modified by Niels Bohr, and then the model is known as the Bohr model of atom. Rutherford in 1911 performed some scattering experiments in which he bombarded tin foil of gold with a beam of fast moving alpha particles. So he took fast moving alpha particles as his projectile and the target as a thin foil of gold. And this thin gold foil had a circular fluorescent zinc sulfide screen around it. What is the purpose of the zinc sulfide screen? That when the alpha particles get deflected from the gold foil, it will get incident on the zinc sulfide screen and it will produce light flashes. So whenever alpha particles struck the zinc sulfide screen, a tiny flash was produced at that point. So this was the experiment done by Rutherford. And from these experiments, he made the following observations. First one was that most of the alpha particles passed through the foil without undergoing any deflection. A few alpha particles underwent deflection through small scattering angles, and very few were reflected back. That is, reflected back means reflected through an angle of 180 degree. So when he had done this alpha scattering experiment in which alpha particles were incident on the thin foil of gold, the alpha particles get deflected and many of the alpha particles undergo no deflection and a few alpha particles undergo deflection through small angles and very few get deflected back. So this was the Rutherford scattering experiment. See, here you can see that a radioactive source is here. Radioactive source means it will produce radiations like alpha, beta and gamma rays, isn't it? So from this radioactive source, or we can say it should be a lead block. So here you can see it's a lead block and there the radioactive material is placed inside it. So as the time passes, the radioactive material decay and will produce alpha particles. And these alpha particles are allowed to fall on the gold foil. And here you can see these are the incident alpha particles. And here you can see the undeflected alpha particles, which are more in number, and also some alpha particles gets deflected through small angle and some alpha particles get reflected back. So most of the alpha particles travel through the foil undeflected. What does it mean? So this is an alpha particle. Alpha particle is having positive charge, isn't it? So whenever a positively charged alpha particle approaches the gold foil atom, it gets undeflected. That means the atom is mostly empty space. There is no such charge in the gold foil that makes the alpha particle to get deflected. So the atom, we can consider the atom to be mostly of empty space. Now some are deflected by small angles. You can see some alpha particles get deflected, which is through small angles. Why they got deflected? See, we know that the atom consists of a nucleus inside. Due to the positively charged nucleus, there is a force of repulsion and the alpha particles get deflected. So that is the reason for the deviation of alpha particles through small angles. Now, some of the alpha particles are reflected back also. So that is the Rutherford gold foil experiment, which is done with the help of alpha particles and gold foil. So assuming here we assume alpha particles and nucleus as point charges. So here you can see here as the nucleus and alpha particle coming towards the nucleus, and you can see the trajectory of the alpha particle in the black line. And what is impact parameter? In the last class we had discussed about impact parameter, which is the minimum distance to which alpha particle would approach the nucleus if there is no force between them. So that is a minimum distance, perpendicular distance. So here you can see that the alpha particle is coming this way and it is not deflected till here. So this is the perpendicular distance to the alpha particle. So this distance is known as the impact parameter. Now what about the head-on collision? See, think that the alpha particle is coming this way and is colliding, trying to collide the nucleus in this way. So what will happen? By the experiment, it had seen that this particle has been reflected back through 180 degree. That means what is B? There is no B here, isn't it? So B is equal to 0 for head collision. Now, what is distance of closest approach D? We are going to find out an expression for D in this session, and it is the minimum distance to which particle approaches nucleus head on. So that is a minimum distance between the alpha particle and the nucleus or the atom. We can say it as an atom because J.J. Thomson defined it as an atom. After this scattering experiment, Rutherford came to know that it's not an atom. It can be said as the positively charged nucleus. So D is the minimum distance to which a particle approaches the nucleus head on, and theta, you know that theta is the scattering angle. That means how much it gets deviated from its original path. That angle is represented as the scattering angle. Now here you can see how the alpha particles get deflected. See, this is the path of the particle, and you can see that this projectile path is hyperbola. So the trajectory of alpha particle are hyperbolic. So here also another figure is shown where you can see the alpha particles coming towards the atom, and this atom later on we can conclude that this is not simply atom, we can consider it to be nucleus. So that since it is a positively charged nucleus and the coming particle is also positively charged, it gets repelled and deviated from its path, and the path of the alpha particle is parabola. So this is another picture showing the alpha particles. So the first particle coming towards like this, when it approaches here, it gets deflected. Now what about the second particle? It gets deflected like this, and the third particle again this, and the fourth particle coming like this. So you can see the different scattering angles here. So whenever you can see that what happens when we go from 1 to 4, the B is increasing. Similarly, here you can see that what about theta also. Theta, as B is increasing, theta got decreasing. So B is the impact parameter and theta is the scattering angle, and we will find out an equation connecting theta and B, which will show that smaller values of B will scatter through larger angles. So this figure will help you to identify that as B is increasing, theta will be decreasing. See, B means here this is the original direction, and B for the first alpha particle is this distance, isn't it? But the angle of scattering is theta 1 is greater. So smaller b means greater scattering angle, and we will find out the equation connecting impact parameter and scattering angle. So we already said that the path of the alpha particle is hyperbolic, or it follows a path of a hyperbola. So with mathematical support, we can write the equation of a hyperbolic path of a projectile as 1 by r is equal to 1 by b sine phi plus z square by 8 pi epsilon 0 b square k into cos phi minus 1. Here we know that b is the impact parameter and theta is the scattering angle. And now what is phi? You can find out what is phi from the figure, isn't it? So if we are considering the alpha particle here at this point, the distance from the atom to the alpha particle is given as r. The distance from here the atom to the alpha particle is r, and it makes an angle phi here. Here this angle is known as phi. Now what is B? It is a perpendicular distance to the particle before it gets deflected. So B is the impact parameter. Now Z into E, capital Z into E is the charge of the atom, and small z into E is the charge of the alpha particle. That means alpha particle is coming with a charge small z into E, and here we considering it as an atom, or we can say it to be a nucleus, positively charged nucleus, and that charged nucleus is having a charge capital Z into E, and K is the final kinetic energy of the projectile. Since there is no recoil of the nucleus, the final as well as the initial kinetic energy are the same. So we can substitute K as the final kinetic energy, even though there is no change in the value of kinetic energy, as there is no recoiling of the nucleus in the experiment. We can substitute kinetic energy as K itself. Now we are going to start our derivation from this hyperbolic equation. Here we know that initially phi is equal to 0. Phi equal to 0 means this angle is equal to 0. This angle equal to 0 means the alpha particle is coming for a head-on collision. So what is meant by head-on collision? Here phi is equal to 0. That means the alpha particle is coming from a greater distance. So we know that small r is the distance to the alpha particle. If the alpha particle is coming from a greater distance, we can substitute r to be infinity. Considering the initial position, that is phi is equal to 0, that means alpha particle is coming from far distances. So the phi angle is 0. And also r is infinity. Now what is the final position? Final position, here you can see that we can consider a position of the alpha particle, and we know that this full angle is pi, and this is a smaller angle theta, or this is the angle theta, that is the scattering angle. So what is this angle? This angle is pi minus theta. So the final position means phi tends to, phi is pi minus theta. For that r also tends to infinity. So when the particle is away from the target, phi is equal to 0, r tends to infinity. And now the final position means again the particle is going this way, isn't it? So again r tends to infinity, and phi you can write it as pi minus theta. So there is a scattering angle theta and the remaining angle is pi minus theta. So final position is pi minus theta and the particle is going away from the nucleus again. So r tends to infinity. Now you can substitute this in the above equation. Substituting r as infinity. So 1 by r is equal to 0. Then phi as pi minus theta. Now sine pi minus theta is sine theta itself, and also here cos phi is here. So cos pi minus theta. Cos pi minus theta is cos theta minus cos theta, and you can take a negative sign outside. So this plus will be replaced with a minus sign and you will get this equation. From this equation you can find out the value of B, that is impact parameter, by substituting cos 1 plus cos theta as 2 cos square theta by 2, and here also sin theta as 2 sin theta by 2 cos theta by 2. So in this equation you have to make two substitutions, that is sin theta as 2 sin theta by 2 cos theta by 2 and 1 plus cos theta as 2 cos square theta by 2. Then you can simplify it and can find out the value of B from this equation as ZZE square by 8 pi epsilon 0 k into cot theta by 2. Here you can see that B, impact parameter, depends on scattering angle, or we can say that a projectile that approaches the nucleus with an impact parameter B will be scattered through an angle theta. So here smaller values of B will be scattered through larger angles. Or you can also write an equation for scattering angle from here also. So from here you can write an equation for theta. So whenever B is smaller, theta will be greater. So that is what I had said earlier. For higher values of B, for lower values of B, deflection will be greater and vice versa. So this is an important equation showing the impact parameter B having a variation with the theta, which shows that the smaller values of B will be scattered through larger angles. We need this equation for further derivation, so note it down. Now we are considering a single layer of atoms packed tightly together. So this is a thin gold foil atoms, a single layer of atoms which is closely packed. So here each atom is represented by a circular disc. See here, this is a circular disc and it is having a radius capital R. So every atom will having an area pi r square. So each atom has area pi r square. Here we are considering atom as a circular disc with radius capital R. If there are n number of atoms, the total area will be n into pi r square. Now to this closely packed atom structure, the alpha particles are coming. So to undergo scattering, the projectile must approach the atom within the circular disc of area pi b square. That means, so this is an atom, isn't it? And here you can see that these alpha particles are not get deflected. Whenever the alpha particle entering into this smaller circle, it gets deflected through an angle theta. So here we are considering a small circular disc inside the atom having a radius small b. and that small b is the impact parameter. So this small circular area has an area pi b square. So whenever the alpha particles get entered into this area pi b square, then only the alpha particles get scattered. Otherwise the alpha particles will undergo no scattering or no deviation. So this is this atom is having area pi r square, and this is a smaller area where the alpha particles will undergo scattering having area pi b square. So what is the fraction of projectiles entering the area? We can find out by dividing pi b square with the pi r square, isn't it? Now we can calculate the volume of the foil. If it is having an area capital A and thickness T, we can find out the volume by multiplying area into thickness. Now volume multiplied with the density will give you the mass of the foil. From this we are going to calculate the number of moles. Number of moles is given by mass by molecular mass. Now we had already calculated mass as volume into density rho at divided by molecular mass of the foil given by capital M. So these are the number of moles. And here we are going to calculate the number of atoms or nuclei per unit volume. That means in a unit volume, how many atoms will be there? Number of atoms or nuclei per unit volume given by small n, which is equal to, we had already found a number of moles. It is rho A T by M. Per unit volume means you have to divide it with the volume, that is divided by AT, and you have to find out the number of atoms, isn't it? So you have to multiply it with the Avogadro number Na. So small n is the number of atoms per unit volume. That means a unit volume contains this much small n number of atoms. And what will be the number of nuclei per unit area? This is we calculated for unit volume. And what is the number of nuclei per unit area? You have to multiply it with the thickness. So n into small t gives you Na rho T by M. So this is volume, isn't it? This is the number of atoms or nuclei per unit volume, and you have to find out the number of nuclei per unit area. So you have to multiply it with the thickness. So N into T gives you Na rho T by M. So that is the number of nuclei per unit area. So a unit area contains this much number of, that is Na rho T by M number of nuclei. Now, what is the fraction of projectiles scattered? See here, we are considering, we know that this perpendicular distance is B, isn't it? And we are considering a small thickness dB around it and are finding out a ring here. Similarly, and we know that from here the alpha particles get scattered. So from here the scattering is like this, and from the top portion the scattering is like this, and this angle is the scattering, small scattering angle, that is d theta. So initially we know that this is the alpha particle coming and this is the impact parameter B, and it gets deflected through an angle theta. Now we are considering a small area around B having thickness dB, and we are watching this experiment with the help of a detector placed here. So the distance to the alpha distance here is denoted as the small r. See, this is a small r and this is theta. So sin theta will be this perpendicular distance, isn't it? This perpendicular distance is sine theta. That is, the radius of this inner circle is r sine theta, and we are considering an outer circle having a small thickness r into d theta. Again, with the help of the d theta angle here, we found out the thickness of this small element, that is r d theta. Now we are going to find out the fraction of projectiles scattered is the fraction that approaches an atom within the area pi b square. We had already said that if b is the impact parameter, the air covers an area pi b square, isn't it? Whenever the alpha particles get entered into this area, then only it gets scattered. So we had already found out an expression, that is number of nuclei per unit area, and so each unit area consists of this much number of nucleus, and the alpha particle is entering in an area pi b square. So what is the fraction of total projectiles that gets scattered? It is given by F, that is equal to nt into pi b square. That is, this is the number of nuclei per unit area, and this is the total area covered by the incoming alpha particle. So nt into pi by square gives you F. From that you can calculate dF by dB. We know that B is changing, impact parameter is changing. So you can calculate dF by dB. From that you can calculate dF. And also we have the equation B, that is the equation for impact parameter. From that you can calculate dB by d theta. So here we got a dF. Now we are going to substitute B and dB in dF. So we have the expression B here. So you can substitute B to this equation, and you can take the derivative of B with respect to theta, dB by d theta. From that you can again take dB and you can substitute it in dF. So that the final equation of dF will be, there will be a negative sign also. You can neglect the negative sign since we are calculating the fraction of projectiles. So modulus of dF is equal to pi nt into zz by 2k whole square into e square by 4 pi epsilon 0 whole square cosec square theta by 2 into cot theta by 2. So we took the modulus of dF because the minus sign is not important, and it just tells that as B increases, theta decreases and vice versa. So we are placing a detector here, isn't it? So this detector is detecting the scattered alpha particles at an angle theta, and this detector is placed at a distance r from the nucleus. Now here we had considered a ring, and what is the area of the ring? Here we know that r sine theta is the radius. So 2 pi r sine theta is the circumference. Circumference into thickness is r d theta. So that will give you the area of the ring. I repeat, here we have considered a ring, and with the help of this angle theta, we know that this distance is r d theta, that is the radius. So its circumference is 2 pi r sine theta, and this ring is of thickness r d theta. So what is the total area of this ring? It will be 2 pi r sine theta into r d theta. So that is the area of the ring dA, which is equal to 2 pi r sine theta into r d theta. Now we are going to find the probability per unit area for scattering into the ring. So we are considering the scattered alpha particles which get scattered into this ring only. So we had considered the area as a dA, and we already know that the fraction of alpha particles entering the area pi b square is a dF. Now we are only considering the area dA. So what is the probability per unit area for scattering into the ring? It is modulus dF by dA, and that is n of theta, and n of theta means it represents the number of scattered alpha particles, and you can just divide the dF by dA and you will get this equation which represents the number of alpha particles scattered through an angle theta, and this formula is known as Rutherford scattering formula. Even though Rutherford had made this scattering formula theoretically, the experiment was done by Geiger and Marsden. That is, Hans Geiger and Ernest Marsden tested the predictions of this Rutherford scattering formula in a series of experiments involving the scattering of alpha particles from different thin metal foils. So, based on the knowledge of Coulomb force, Newton's law, linear momentum and angular momentum, Rutherford had derived the theoretical formula, that is Rutherford scattering formula, but the experimental data was given by Rutherford's students Geiger and Marsden, and the derivation assumed that the whole mass of the gold atom and the alpha particle was concentrated in a very small point-like volume. So, Ernest Marsden and Hans Geiger had done the experiment. The theoretical work was done by Ernest Rutherford, and he had derived the Rutherford scattering formula, which helps you to get the variation of number of scattered alpha particles with the angle theta, that is given by n of theta. That means number vary with the scattering angle theta. Now the experiment was done by Hans Geiger and Ernest Marsden, which was in agreement with the Ernest Rutherford formula. So here you can see that there is a source of alpha particles, and using lead bricks they are focused on to the target, and here you can see that some alpha particles are deflected and through an angle theta, and this is a zinc sulfide screen, so that whenever alpha particle gets incident on the zinc sulfide screen, it produces light flashes, and with this light flashes can be detected using a detector here. And they also, with the help of detector, they also noted that most of the alpha particles undergo no deviation or no scattering. Only some alpha particles undergo scattering with a very small scattering angle. So we are now analyzing the Rutherford scattering formula with the experiment done. So here the first factor is thickness of the gold foil, represented by T. So here the number of scattered particles depends on theta, so n of theta, and this factor depends on the thickness of gold foil. So Ernest Marsden and Hans Geiger used alpha particles of 8 mega electron volt energy, and they made the scattering angle constant, that is at 25 degree, and the projectile is scattered by every atom along its path as it passes through the foil according to Thomson's model. See here, Thomson had the idea that all the projectile has been deviated by the target. But here you can see that as the foil thickness is increasing, here they done the experiment with silver, copper and aluminium, and they plotted the experimental values like this, and they found that as the foil thickness is increasing, the number scattered is also increasing. That means n of theta is directly proportional to thickness of the gold foil. So the Rutherford derived this formula, but experimentally using silver, copper and aluminium, both the scientists verified that as the foil thickness is increasing, the number also gets increased. And from this, they concluded that nucleus is so tiny that the chance of even a single scattering is small. Whereas Thomson had predicted that all the alpha particles getting into the atom are getting deviated or scattered, but it was wrong. And according to Rutherford model, then only small number of alpha particles get deflected because the positively charged nucleus is very small, so that the chance of even a single scattering is small. Now going to the next parameter. See, n of theta is proportional to capital Z square. Capital Z is the atomic number of the material used, isn't it? We know that we had done the experiment. They had done the experiment with the gold foil. So gold Au is here, and also they had took Ag silver, Cu copper and Al aluminium, and they plotted the variation of n of theta with the Z square, and they got a linear graph. Linear graph means as Z increases, number scattered, that is n of theta, also increases. So they took different scattering materials like gold, silver, copper and aluminium of same thickness, so that the thickness parameter should not come in the experiment. So they took the scattering materials of same thickness and plotted the graph. So they got the graph as a linear graph showing that Z square and n of theta are directly proportional, and which they had already got from Rutherford scattering formula. Now third one is how number scattered is proportional to the energy of the kinetic energy of the alpha particles, and by formula it is given as n of theta is proportional to k raised to minus 2. That is inversely proportional to the speed of the or the energy of the alpha particle. So here what they had done is the thickness of they made the thickness constant of the gold foil constant, and they varied the speed of alpha particles. How the speed can be varied? By passing the alpha particles through thin mica sheets, the speed of the alpha particles are reduced, and these alpha particles are allowed to fall on the gold foil. So here, and they plotted again with the help of dictator, they took the number of alpha particles scattered and they plotted the graph, and they got a negatively sloped graph. That means as the kinetic energy increases, the number scattered got decreased, which is in agreement with the Rutherford scattering formula. Now the last parameter is scattering angle theta. Here n of theta is inversely proportional to sin raised to 4 theta by 2. And we had already checked T thickness, Z atomic number, K that is the energy, kinetic energy of the incoming alpha particles. So comparing with these three parameters, the most variation in n of theta is due to scattering angle theta. So in the experiment, they had varied theta from 5 degree to 150 degree, and they plotted the number of alpha particles scattered. So they got a graph like this, and from this graph they derived the relation that at n of theta is inversely proportional to theta as sine raised to 4 theta by 2. So all the predictions of the Rutherford scattering formula were confirmed by the experiment, and thus the nuclear atom model was verified. So that was the success of the Rutherford nuclear atom model. And from this we can also calculate the closest approach of the projectile to a nucleus. So they had assumed this to be a positively charged nucleus, and the positively charged alpha particle is coming. So it is coming with a kinetic energy, isn't it? So is there any potential energy? No. So the potential initially the potential energy is 0. It is having only a kinetic energy half mv square, and it is having an angular momentum also. And angular momentum, we know the equation is L is equal to mvr. R is the perpendicular distance to the particle, and here it is the impact parameter b. So L is equal to mvb. So this is the initial state. Now what happens if the particle is making a head-on collision? Head-on collision means here you know that b is equal to 0. Isn't it? And so whenever this positively charged alpha particle comes near the positively charged nucleus, the force of repulsion will act and the alpha particle will slow down and will reach a point where it will rest for a second. At that time, its kinetic energy is 0, but it has having maximum potential energy given by the equation 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r, that is z e square by r. And that minimum distance is known as the distance of closest approach. So I repeat, initially the particle is having only kinetic energy, maximum kinetic energy and minimum potential energy 0, so that its total energy is always a constant. And when it is making an head-on collision, it stops for the alpha particle gets slowed down and stops for a second, so that its kinetic energy is minimum and here the potential energy is maximum, and that distance is known as distance of closest approach given by d. So r has to be replaced with d here. Now what happens when it gets deflected? So that distance to nucleus is the minimum distance, and that is given by r minimum. At that time the particle is having also minimum velocity. So maximum potential energy or minimum kinetic energy occurs at r is equal to r minimum. And when r is equal to r minimum, the velocity is v minimum. So you can write the equations for u, k and l. Potential energy is equal to z d square by 4 pi epsilon 0 1 by r1 minimum. Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square minimum, and L is equal to mvr with the minimum values. So how can you write the total energy? Again, kinetic energy plus potential energy. Now we are going to find out the equation for V minimum with the help of law of conservation of angular momentum, and are going to substitute it here, and we will find out the equation for D, that is the distance of closest approach. For that we are again taking the angular momentum conservation law, that is far from the nucleus it is mvr, that is mvb. At r minimum its angular momentum is mv minimum r minimum, and we know that angular momentum is conserved, so you can equate both these equations and can find out the value of v minimum from here and can substitute it in E. And here we know that distance of closest approach is d when b is equal to 0, isn't it? So you can substitute in this equation b as 0, so that what will happen, this second term gets cancelled, and half mv square is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 z d square by d. From that you can calculate d as, that is the distance of closest approach, as 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 z e square by k. So that is the detailed description of the Rutherford atom model. And even though the Rutherford model was somewhat successful, it had several drawbacks also, which we will discuss in the next class. Hope the class is clear to you. Thank you.